check at half-time of this England game. Now, Thomas Tuchel has admitted this week this England team need to be more fluid, more aggressive, play with intensity and rhythm. Those his words. That starts now. Live on TalkSport, England against Andorra, World Cup qualifier, with your commentary team of former England captain Stuart Pearce, alongside TalkSport's England commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and a very good afternoon to you. Well, we're already more than halfway from the day Thomas Tuchel was appointed to the end of the World Cup. How much we've learned over the last 325 days is a moot point. The question of how much Thomas has learned certainly isn't. The games played in June come with the usual caveat: tired legs, tired minds, and the profile of the matches do constitute extenuating circumstances. But both of those performances will have alarmed the manager in different ways. Now he's got 10 matches over 9 months to get it right before the real business starts. And first up, a gentle way to ease into the season. On paper, Andorra at home, the easiest of the matches that England are going to face, and with a faultless record against sides outside the top 100, failure is almost inconceivable. To use a baseball analogy, this is batting practice hitting off a tee before facing a curveball in Belgrade on Tuesday. But as we saw in Barcelona in June, the Andorrans will play to their strengths. An ultra-low block in their 5-4-1 to contain and frustrate, and they're getting better at it. England's recurring problems are breaking down opposition who allow them lots of the ball are well documented. So this could be an insight into how Tuchel will solve that problem against better sides who play the same way. Pickford plays in goal. Back four of James, Gahey, Byrne and Lewis Skelly. Big day for Elliot Anderson anchoring the midfield. Madueke and Rashford wide of Rice and Eza, with Kane up front. Andorra have Alvarez in goal, Bora, Yavera, Christian Garcia, Oliveira and San Nicolas, Rodrigo, Mark Valles, Babo and Servos, and Cucu Fernandez. And so begins a World Cup season. 5 games to qualify, 5 more to fine-tune, 8 more for footballing immortality. But for it all to be different this time around, they need wholesale improvement and consistency. The first test is one where the result may be all but guaranteed, but only big signs of progress will constitute success. We're underway. England kicking towards the hold end in this first half. And Mark Gahey just having to lean back in under pressure from Cucu Fernandez. Heads the ball away. Nice first touch from Elliot Anderson in the heart of the midfield. England in their white shirts and dark blue shorts, kicking from left to right, and Andorra in their customary all yellow with the blue markings. England working the ball down the line and finding Madueke. It was a nice ball from Reece James to play him in. Madueke trying to get towards the byline, and he's won a corner inside 35 seconds.
Yeah, really good. I think he's given a goal kick, actually. It must have cannoned back off of Noni. Much better there. Great ball down the line from Reece James, and Madueke not checking out in any way, took his man on and was unfortunate not to get a decent cross in or a corner out of it.
It's a rarity that England score early goals on home soil in competitive fixtures. There have only been a couple of games over the last 3 years where England have scored in the first 10 minutes in that type of game, this type of game. Here's Servos, the left winger for Andorra. And he's pushed Reece James, who was able to get his body between the winger and the ball. Free kick given by the Finnish referee. Big day for him as well. Mohamed Alamara, his first ever international fixture. As it is for this man, Elliot Anderson, working the ball to his left. Dan Byrne coming forward over halfway with TalkSport 90 seconds in here at Villa Park under predominantly blue skies and wispy white cloud overhead as well. And the flags over on the top of the Doug Ellis stand on the far side are blowing. There's a stiffish breeze here in the second city today. Opportunity for Marcus Rashford to get to the byline on the England left. Dances his way around one defender, couldn't beat a second. He's gone down inside the penalty area. Servos tries to work it back inside his own box. Rivera is able to get it away. That was better from Rashford, and we've already, a couple of minutes in, seen both England wingers take on their man, get to the byline and try and deliver.
Yeah, for me, in the formation we play with just a lone striker, I think it's so important that our wide players have, well, part of their game, Jim, is to take players on and these two players have got that talent in abundance.
Those are the thoughts of Stuart Pearce with us as ever on England duty, and we'll be in Belgrade Tuesday night for Serbia against England. The 7:45 kickoff in today. The build-up starts here on TalkSport at 7. Reece James is in possession. He's gone back for Gahey, who, as we expected, with the two left-footers playing centre-half, it is Mark Gahey who's playing on the right of the two. And this man now on the ball, Dan Burn, is on the left, wearing 12, and he'll make his way forward over the halfway line. Reece James, last time we played against Andorra, didn't really make too much headway forward from right back. He was the fullback that stayed in, and Lewis Skelly would come into a more central midfield position. But James this time does have a little bit more licence to push forward and leave England with just two centre-halves up against the Andorra number 9, Cuca Fernandez. Get it wide out to the left. Skelly trying to help it round the corner for Rashford's run. A sliding challenge from Yavera. Puts the ball clear and out for an England throw about 10 yards from the corner flag. 0-0.
Yeah, what you tend to do in games is, if your wide players are having a good time against the fullbacks, which both of ours have had good early runs, give them the ball as quickly as you possibly can and encourage them not to turn away and give it back to you.
Anderson, not put a foot wrong so far. Working the ball out of the England left for Lewis Skelly. Now it comes back for Burn. Burn poking it forward for Rashford, who's come deeper and then hits a beautiful 50-yard ball from inside left out of the right wing for Reece James. James linking up again with Madueke. Madueke does go back, finding Mark Gahey, and he in turn will play it back for Pickford. But Pickford, when he receives that, it's only about 5 yards away from the edge of the centre circle. Gahey looking long with the ball over the top. Ezra's offside though. And it's a free kick to Andorra on the edge of their box. 4.5 minutes in, 0-0. Earlier in this group, Serbia won 1-0 away to Latvia. So they've got 7 points from 3 games. England 9 points from 3. Serbia drop points against Albania. Albania not featuring in this round of fixtures. But they're back in action again on Tuesday. So free kick to the Andorrans just outside their own penalty area. Early run from Servos down the left-hand touchline. James has a little look around to see where he is. The ball bounces down towards long-head Servos. James can knock it away. And it then cannons back off the captain Mark Valles, who will break Madueke's ways. Cynically pulled down there by Pau Babo. And it's a yellow card. An easy decision for the referee just 5 minutes in.
See, the referee's got to make that decision because Madueke has asked the question and drove with pace, so he's forced the yellow card, and that's the type of action that we need.
So Babo in the book, a player who was born in Germany. He plays in the equivalent of Germany's National League North. And here's Dan Burn, playing out of the left-hand side, getting it back again. Only Gahey and Pickford inside England territory at the moment. The ball goes back for the centre-half. Ventures over the halfway line before hitting a brisk ball down towards Reece James. Just took a couple of slight bounces on the way through, so James couldn't then play it first time. England work it back the other way, getting Declan Rice involved. He's not seen an awful lot of it. Focus on the opening 6 minutes or so here on TalkSport. Back he goes for Anderson, the deepest of England's midfielders. Worked out towards James again. James faced up by San Nicolas, the left back. Anderson showing for it. Still maintaining his 100% pass record as he lays it back towards Gahey. Rice then makes an advance roll, does well to turn it around the corner for Lewis Skelly, who goes down on the edge of the penalty area. And Thomas Tuchel stands with his hands out, asking the question of the Finnish referee. No free kick given, and England will be able to build from the back again. But they've got Rice into good positions. They're getting Lewis Skelly forward into good positions as well. It's been a promising start, albeit that Alvarez in the Andorran goal hasn't had a save to make so far.
Yeah, I think you've got to give some credit to the Andorrans. They're extremely well coached, they're very well organised, and they put some sweat on their shirt getting in good defensive positions. Saying that, I think England have certainly showed a mentality to get the ball forward slightly quicker than we've seen before.
We also talked about tempo in the build-up and how important that was going to be, and they have so far played at a better tempo as well. Lewis Skelly, left-footed cross in from him, deep towards the far post. Kane was arriving, wasn't going to get there, but Garcia not taking any chances, heads it away. And England do now have the first corner.
Yeah, I don't think he actually made a corner. He's given a throw right in this corner flag. But great action there, and when it's gone out wide and been switched well by England, Lewis Skelly didn't think twice. Out your feet, whip it in the box.
So James taking the throw, flicked on well by Madueke, comes outside the box for Eza. Eza just plays the way that he's facing, back for Elliot Anderson, who works it to Lewis Skelly. Out to Rashford. Already a feeling that it's just a matter of time before England will be able to break the deadlock, even if they haven't had a worthwhile attempt on goal as yet. But this is a much better start to the game than it was the last time England played Andorra 3 months ago in the admittedly stuffier climes of Barcelona. These are conditions that are much more conducive to the way that England play. But the tempo's been good. Mark Gahey finding James. James back for the Crystal Palace centre-half, who works it to his left for Dan Burn. Then coming forward, Rashford holding the width on the left and trying to get Rice in, who acknowledges the intent of the pass, if not the execution, slightly overhit. And he goes through and out of play for a goal kick that Iker Alvarez will take. He's the son of the manager, Conor Alvarez, the Andorran coach, who lost his first 34 competitive internationals as a manager. Not too many survived that, but they've done well to show faith in him. Beat Hungary in 2017 to stop that run. And his son, widely regarded as the busiest and best player on this Andorran side, the goalkeeper. As soon as I say that, he smacks one straight out of play for a throw. Taken by James, back for Anderson, now to Gahey. Gahey to Pickford, who just applauds Gahey before bringing the ball under control, and now Dan Burn will bring it forward. So the opening 10 minutes behind us. 0-0 and chanceless so far, but overwhelming England possession. Gahey down the right-hand side again. It's a good interplay between James and Madueke, two players who know each other from club football. Anderson gets it forward. Kane with a shot off balance after it just came back to him off Oliveira. That's comfortably saved by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, our two central defenders hold the key to the tempo that we set to this game in many ways. They're the ones who are going to receive more of the ball than anybody else. They've got to make sure that it's not just a pass to each other. They pass from side to side to free the other one up to drive forward or play an incisive pass.
Reece James just got caught underneath the ball there. Broke Cuca Fernandez's way. A very speculative effort from the striker, which was going well wide. Pickford caught it anyway. And now we'll ball it forward for Dan Burn to bring it forward. The NFL's back this weekend, incidentally. TalkSport's delivering its biggest ever season of coverage, with exclusive coverage of over 90 games over the course of the season. We're going to have exclusive national radio commentary from the opening weekend as the Steelers take on the New York Jets tomorrow evening. That's over on TalkSport 2 and 5. If you want more on this season's coverage, check out talksport.com/NFL or head to the TalkSport USA YouTube channel. So the NFL coming back tomorrow. We're 11 minutes in here, and still 0-0 between England and Andorra, with the ball in the hands of Iker Alvarez. Puts it upfield. Anderson has been very composed so far. Just controlled that neatly, played it out to his left. The ball forward for Kane was overhit, and it goes through for the goalkeeper again. And Anderson hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
No, he's been nice and steady in the heart of midfield, allowing Rice to get forward and play further up the pitch, which is what it's designed for. England have lost a couple of balls that have gone beyond their back line and been overhit, but I don't mind that, Jim. It just shows that the players are looking to play forward.
Well, the offside flag is up here against Fernandez as they hook one down the line from San Nicolas. Fernandez easily a couple of yards offside. They have been beaten by a couple of balls that have been played for, but the wind is very much into England's faces in this first half, so that's possibly part of it as well. There's one other World Cup qualifier taking place right now, and Portugal lead it in Yerevan against Armenia, with João Felix scoring the goal. Armenia 0, Portugal 1. And a reminder that in that game earlier today in this group, Serbia won 1-0 in Latvia, ahead of the match between the two in Belgrade. Serbia against England, which kicks off at 7:45 on Tuesday. TalkSport will be there. And here's Elliot Anderson, hoping to do enough today to stake a claim for a place in the starting 11 over there as well. Noni Madueke lays the ball back for James. James to Gahey. Gahey is inside the centre circle as he works it to his left for Byrne. And Byrne goes wider to the left for Mars Lewis Skelly. Byrne into the feet of Anderson, straight back again. It's just slowed down for a minute or so. Now England will try and inject a little bit of tempo with a Reece James ball over the top that Madueke brings down. Eze left it for him, and the ball has gone out of play for a goal kick. Still, England unable to win that elusive first corner. 0-0. I think Thomas Tuchel will be quietly satisfied with what he's seen so far.
Well, I think all you do, Jim, as a manager is ask the players, can you show me what we've worked on all week? And I think you can. You can see players looking to play more forward passes in this game than a normal start to an England international.
With another long ball played forward over halfway. It's a good header by Anderson. Kane chasing after it, headed away by Garcia on the edge of his own penalty area, but England are picking up lots of seconds at the moment. And Madueke plays it out towards the right for Berchieza. Challenge comes in on him from Servos, but Anderson picks up the loose ball 15 yards outside the box. He's found Dan Byrne. Back for Anderson again, who scored against Spain in the quarterfinals of the Under-21 Euros. Now it's Madueke for Eze's shot. And the goalkeeper again can make a comfortable stop. Tuchel is back on his feet, looking up to the heavens. Disappointed that there wasn't more of an end product to the end of what's been England's best move so far. Yeah,
I agree with that, Jim. It certainly has been their best move. Good incisive pass by Anderson. Madueke coming off the line really well. And then Ezra in a good position in that number 10 role to get a finish away.
So 15 minutes in, England beginning to work some more promising openings. Rice, Gahey, 10 yards inside the Andorran half by the time he plays the ball down towards the right-hand side. A lot of England's attacking play gravitating down that right, with James finding Madueke, and now the third time of asking it is the first England corner coming on the 15-minute mark, and Declan Rice is the man that'll come out to take it. England not as reliant on set pieces as they were in that Russia World Cup, but nevertheless this is still a very long suit as far as the three lines is concerned.
Yeah, it should be. You know, it's something that we got very, very good at in 2018, as you rightly say, and every time we had a corner at that World Cup, we looked as though we'd score a goal.
So Rice is going to take this corner, but only after the referee has gone across to have a word with some of those that are doing the pushing and shoving around the edge of the 6-yard box. Marcus Rashford is in there. The goalkeeper's being spoken to as well. Lewis Skelly stands hands on hips. Kane about 6 yards out. Byrne is deeper. He stands between the penalty spot and the edge of the penalty area in a very central position. Is he going to make a run towards the far post or a run in towards the near? Rashford is being physically manhandled again. England end up working it short. Play back by Eze. Madueke, left-footed effort from him is blocked. And James has to scamper after it to stop any thoughts of a counter-attack, as Rodrigo trying to break quickly, the Andorran right winger. Just marauding down the left for a moment as he was the quickest away from the edge of the box. And England have got it back easily. And Byrne will get it forward towards Rice. Rice with another ball inside the penalty area. Rashford's touch took him towards the byline, and then all he could do was stop it going out of play for a goal kick. And he's hooked it out instead for a throw. Yeah,
we've had a couple of decent incisive runs from sort of middle to out, in behind the back line, which is not borne fruit yet, but if we keep doing it, I think we'll get something from it.
In stark contrast to that game Espanyol back in June, it feels as though England are going about this the right way, just haven't been able to find a breakthrough so far, but that it will be coming. Work it forward again towards the edge of the penalty area. Defensive header. Reece James fires it in first time. Slight miss-kick clearance from Mark Valles, centre-half who's playing in defensive midfield today. And then England lose it over on the far touchline. It's an Andorran ball. But there are so much better tempo, so many more progressive passes into the final third of 8-10 yards or more than we've probably seen in any game under Tuchel so far.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As I say, I've been quite pleased with the start, and on the back of that as well, sometimes you put the ball in the box, it creates a reaction in the back line, and sometimes you can sort of react from that panic, if you like, when the ball goes in the box.
So a better England performance than 0-0 after 18 minutes might suggest. I think one thing that England definitely will need to sort out when Thomas Tuchel won't look back over the game against Senegal, and it's not today that it's going to be prevalent necessarily, more on Tuesday, but the number of opportunities that England allowed the opposition. That game against Senegal, they faced 9 shots on target. That was the most that England have faced in 90 minutes of any game for more than 10 years, which is an alarming statistic, playing at home against a side who aren't in the top 30 in the world. Those defensive insecurities, unlikely with the best will in the world to be tested in the same way today, certainly haven't been so far. Could be on Tuesday. Here's Pickford controlling a brisk ball through his penalty area, and he had to stretch just to bring it under control. England determined to try and invite the press here. Pickford did get the ball away. It was played into him, and he had to flick it up with his foot because it wasn't quite along the ground from Gahey, then volleyed it away, but just before Servos was there to be able to close him down and potentially block the ball into the England net. England get it away, they've got past that press. Now Reece James wins another free kick for a foul on Rodrigo. The 2 Andorran wingers have swapped flanks for the moment, and England take the free kick quickly to find Anderson.
Yeah, I think the first time the ball arrived at Pickford's feet, he should have been opening his body up and feeding it out to Dan Burn in the opposite direction.
Here's Konsa. Down towards James. First time ball from him. Turn around the corner for Madueke's run. 2 Andorran players on him immediately. And the ball goes out of play for a throw. 20 minutes in, still goalless. Portugal continue to lead in Armenia. If you're wondering how your club got on today, or potentially how your bets got on today, Adrian will have the full classifieds at half-time in this game. Ordinarily at 5:15, TalkSport the only place that you can hear those on a Saturday afternoon. And they'll be at about 5:50 tonight here on TalkSport. All the classifieds on a decent day, it has to be said, for club football, depending on your loyalties. I'm quite happy. Here's Lewis Skelly, ball knocked away. Byrne brings it down and can flick it out towards Declan Rice. Rice square towards Gahey. He's got James making a run to his right as we approach the midway stage of the first half. A couple of saves for Alvarez to make. He hasn't had a difficult save to make so far. England haven't been able to get Harry Kane into the game so far, as he looks to score for a 6th successive international, which is something that he has done on 3 previous occasions. In fact, the 3 previous occasions that he scored in 5, he's gone on each occasion to score in game number 6, which is what he's hoping to do today. He's never scored it more than 6 games in a row for England. Anderson's got it. Just caught as he laid the ball off towards Eza. Eza making his way forward down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Madueke, having received the pass, just trying to feather it into his path, but again slightly overhit. And he goes through and out of play for a goal kick. What have you made of Eza in this more central position? It's the kind of role that we often see him in for Palace and now, of course, for Arsenal. But we haven't seen him play here too often for England so far.
Yeah, I've quite enjoyed watching him playing in there. You know, obviously Bellingham not being here would probably play in a similar type of position, but I've quite enjoyed his interaction with Madueke. Seems pretty good. I think on that occasion, if I was Madueke, I wouldn't have passed. I would have gone myself and looked to open up a shooting angle.
Good header from Elliot Anderson, who was capped by the Scottish under-21s at one stage in his career before changing allegiance to England. Finding Dan Burn. Anderson's Newcastle teammate out to Lewis Skelly. Rashford's got it. coming in from the little thin strip of sunshine over on the far side. The vast majority of Villa Park is bathed in shadow. James is going to get there. First time ball in from the right hand side. Kane and Rice both trying to react. Eza steers it goal bound. It hit Yavera to clear. And England will come again with James. Right footed ball driven in right through the 6-yard box. Kane threw a foot at it about 3 yards from goal, but he couldn't reach. And Andorra survived.
Well, fantastic play there, asking big questions of this Andorran side. Very unfortunate not to score, but the thing they're doing, they're playing incisive football and feeding the box, and that's inducing panic in the back line.
Does feel as though it's only a matter of time. England have won all 7 previous meetings with Andorra. They've scored 26 goals in the process and haven't conceded any. It was 4-0 to England the last time they met on home soil. Jesse Lingard got a couple that day. Harry Kane scored. Bukayo Saka did as well. Kane again on target when the two sides met more recently in June. Portugal 2 up now in that Group F match, which is Ireland's group, away to Armenia. Ronaldo has scored. It's his 139th international goal in 222 games. 9 in his last 10. He's got 6 in 5 against Armenia in his career now. Ronaldo scoring yet again, and Portugal 2 up away to Armenia in Group F. Ireland beginning their campaign later when they take on Hungary. Here's Madueke inside the penalty area, clipping it in! And he's taking a touch of an Andorran defender to beat his goalkeeper and give England the lead. Christian Garcia, the man, knew that he had to try and play the cross with Harry Kane lurking in behind him. And Garcia has steered it past his own goalkeeper. England lead 1-0.
I think that they thoroughly deserve this lead. I've got to say I've been really impressed with the tempo that we've set, the direction that the balls and the passes are being played, and once again, if you get the ball into the box, into danger zones, sometimes it's not what, if it's one of your players gets on the end of it, you're asking questions of defenders, and Garcia couldn't come up with the answer for Andorra, but he could for England.
That's a wonderful ball played in. Great trajectory on it, just shaped in towards Harry Kane's run. And Christian Garcia with a little flick header, the wrong-footed Iker Alvarez in behind him. And it's taken England 25 minutes to find the breakthrough, but a decent 25 minutes of football as opposed to a stodgy 50 before they broke the deadlock the last time the two sides met. Anderson has, I thought, just lost out there. He had his shoulder on his opponent, did win possession back, gets it back inside his own penalty area, and Byrne will play it forward towards Rice. Now England can get it towards halfway with Mark Gahey, leading them by a goal to 0. The Garcia own goal on 25 minutes. Madueke making his way forward on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Stops, checks, turns it back. James. Now to Lewis Skelly. Now Declan Rice coming forward. Rice 15 yards outside the penalty area, getting it in with pace. Oliveira there to deal with Eza's run and put the ball out for an England throw, but they're doing their best to turn the screw here. 1 up and very much hungry for more.
I think we saw then exactly the power of our wide players taking people on. Madueke drove at the back line. It attracted 3 defenders coming over to safeguard the fullback, the wing back, and all of a sudden it's not on. You check out and you attack the other side of the pitch.
Well, this is one of those horrible games for a manager. It's always said that when you're playing against a team who are outside the top 170 in the world, you've got nothing to win, really. You win, you're expected to win. And remember, England have won every game that they've ever played in a competitive game against a side from outside the top 100. If you don't win, obviously it's a footballing disaster with a capital D. So it's going to be interesting to hear the reaction of England supporters after this, and the reaction from Thomas himself. After the full-time whistle, Faker Others, our England correspondent, will bring you all the interviews from the tunnel. We'll hear the thoughts of Thomas Tuchel, and we'll hear your thoughts as well. Phone lines will open with Rory Jennings, giving you a chance to have your say on this evening's match. That's here on TalkSport 03717 223344. Ball with Jordan Pickford, who's England side lead 1-0.
What I would say, Jim, is this: if I'm the manager and you say to me your team are going to play in this vein for 90 minutes and the game finishes 1-0, or they drop off the tempo from now on and you win the game 6-0, I'll take the 1-0.
Yeah.
Because I know the long-term process of developing this team will benefit from that.
So essentially what you're saying is if you play this way and you continue to do the right things, and you can get into the habit of doing that, so you're always doing the right things in games, then you are going to get the results that you need.
Exactly that. I mean, the team are showing to me at the moment exactly what they've talked about and worked on.
So Anderson fires the latest ball forward out towards Rashford. It's coming in off the left-hand touchline. He's now inside the penalty area. Rashford's little reverse ball is overhit. And Christian Garcia's in there sliding it clear, putting out a play for a throw. So there's more invention, there's better movement, there's better patterns of play from England than we've seen under Tuchel so far.
And all of that is a state of mind about playing forward and playing forward quickly, I think, Jim. And Rashford there probably didn't need to get clever with a back heel. Skelly had made a really good pass beyond him. Good movement.
England substitutes out warming up, including some of the Villa contingent. England inside the penalty area with Kane. He couldn't trick his way through past Borra, the right back, and Garcia will get it out to him as they can get it away again. Anderson has done so well just to pick up the pieces in the midfield areas, always reading the danger superbly. It's been a very assured debut from him up to this point. Andorra can get it away here with Yavera. And it's going to be knocked down the right-hand side for Mark Valles, and he's just aimlessly put it into England territory so they can build from the back again. We'll give you the England trivia question in a couple of minutes' time. Give you a chance to have a think. We'll give you the answer to it just past the hour mark, 15-20 minutes or so into the second half. It's a Villa-related one today. Gahey plays it forward, looking for Eze. Ball played into his feet. Andorra have got it away, forward towards Cucu Fernandes. England did really well getting their shape back behind the ball as quickly as they did. It looked for a moment that they might be able to set up a 2-against-2 Andorra, but England got back in. Anderson, big part of that, dropping in between the two centre halves. England forced the error and get a throw.
Yeah, they certainly did. For a moment there was a panic on, it was 1 against 1, but England funneled back very, very quickly.
Pickford plays it forward for Dan Burn. Burn over halfway. Now out towards Lewis Skelly. It's in front of an England flag over on that far touchline that is being held and draped over the hoardings. Now comes down towards Noni Madueke on the England right-hand side. Madueke making his 4th start for his country. He started the 2 games back in November under Lee Carsley and showed up well. He was also one of only 2 players that got any praise from Thomas Tuchel after the game in Andorra, which he also started. Cucu Fernandes, the Andorran number 9, has gone down in England territory, but of his own volition. And England are going to be able to bring it forward again with Elliot Anderson. 4 from him into Declan Rice. Rice's starting position generally about 10-15 yards ahead of that of Anderson. Anderson trying to craft the ball down the inside right channel here for Eze, but he couldn't find him. And then Rodrigo is quickly crowded out of it by Anderson, who's done well to win it back.
He's had a super start to the game, Jim. As you rightly say, he's knitted things together and also broken up play extremely well.
9th player to play in that position for England since the start of the Euros. You have to think, had Adam Wharton been fit, I don't know, but my gut feeling is that it may well have been Wharton that would have got the start ahead of Anderson today. Don't know that for sure, but Anderson certainly making the most of the opportunity. Wharton, who He's played about 25-30 minutes for England in a friendly back in June of 2024. Still waiting for his first start for his country. It's a really good start of the season for Palace. Anderson again, just dropping back, heading it down, little cushion header. Gahey ahead of him as Anderson plays it to him. And Gahey will bring it under control and get England going again. So here's the trivia question today then. Since the 2010 World Cup, 12 men have played for England whilst at Aston Villa. Now 4 of them are currently Villa players. That's Konsa, Mings, Rodgers and Watkins. But who are the other 8? Go back through it again in a moment. Here's Madueke clipping one inside the penalty area. Eza trying to bring it down, and it's come off Christian Garcia and goes out of play for another England corner. So since the 2010 World Cup, 12 men have played for England whilst at Villa. That's Konsa, Mings, Rodgers and Watkins, who are all current Villa players. But who are the other 8? We'll talk about it at the back end of half-time, and Adrian and Stu will chew the fat, come up with some right answers. And we'll go through the answers in full about 20 minutes or so into the second half. 1-0 to England after that own goal 8 minutes ago. Declan Rice to take this corner in front of the hold end. He's raised his left arm above his head. It's a right-footed away swinger, attacked well by Byrne on the edge of the 6-yard box, but defended well. Ball goes back out towards Rice. Plays it to his right-hand side for Eza. Eza in his yellow boots, back for Rice. First time ball swung inside the box, couldn't quite get the angle right, it's cleared. Lewis Skelly controls it. Back heel flick on the edge of the penalty area for Anderson, to his right-hand side for Rashford. Chipped in by James and volleyed away to safety again by the Andorran back line out for Rashford, who will pick it up on the Aston Villa right, on the England right-hand side now. 11 at half-time. Rashford's ball in. It's well claimed by Iker Alvarez, who came a long way to meet that and catch it on the edge of the box.
Yeah, put some decent balls into the box. Long may we continue that. We've got a semi-counter attack here from the Andorrans.
We'll chip it down to the left-hand side for Rodrigo. Rodrigo to San Nicolas, who's had very few opportunities to push forward from left back so far in this very regimented 5-4-1 system. He just has to trot back in again, because whilst Andorra have kept possession, they've got all the way back to their own goalkeeper from 10 yards inside the England half. And now they'll get it forward quickly again down towards Rodrigo. Rodrigo, who only made his debut in March, he's the baby of this Andorran side at 20. Goes back to his goalkeeper again. Another first-time ball forward that Gahey does well. Takes a couple of steps backwards and then just lets the ball hit the side of his head and gets the angle spot on for Reece James, who dropped in. And James has now got the opportunity to get it forward again for England. We 10 to go to half-time. Portugal leading 2-0 in Armenia. That big game in League 2 is underway. Bromley against Gillingham. Both sides still unbeaten this season. Bromley unbeaten in 13, Gillingham unbeaten in 20. And the two Kent sides going head-to-head in League 2. It was a top 3 battle at the start of the day. Still 0-0 in the early stages there. We'll keep you updated. A game in the National League underway as well. Aldershot against Brackley. Here's Gahey. Down towards Reece James. Now Madueke. Madueke just forced to retrace his steps for a moment and go back towards halfway. James takes over. He's back for Anderson. Anderson to Gahey. Byrne. Declan Rice making a run forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Rashford picks up the ball. That sauntering style of his making his way to the edge of the penalty area. Kane tries to whack a ball through towards Madueke. It's picked off. And Andorra will bring it forward quickly with Rodrigo, but he doesn't get too far. Lewis Skelly winning it back. Now finding Madueke in space. Neat control from the Arsenal man. Get it onto his right foot, then work it back on his left. Anderson making his way forward. He's been everywhere. Now James, down towards Madueke again. Madueke for James, to Gahey, to Byrne. Byrne coming forward towards the edge of the box. Goes along the horseshoe once more out towards Rashford. And Rashford wins another corner, the first on the England left. The sliding Yavera putting it clear.
Yeah, good switch there to Madueke. Once again, he advanced with the ball and 3 players come across to deal with him. At that stage, get it out your feet, put it in the box. There's going to be an overload elsewhere on the pitch. And just a small point on Dan Burn. Dan Burn's received the ball in space midway in his own half, and he's taken 2 or 3 touches going forward with the ball. What it needs is 1 touch and then drive it out wide to your left back, or alternatively into Rashford's feet. They want the ball as quick as possible.
A little bit of fine-tuning necessary for England, but they're looking for a second goal here. Burn is in the far post vicinity as the corner comes in his direction. Kane actually the closest England player to it, as Garcia with an excellent defensive header puts it away for corner number 4.
To credit where credit's due there, Harry Kane's coming in on the back post and Garcia has done extremely well to cover the run.
Much better defensive header than the one that gave England the lead 13 minutes ago.
I preferred the first one, actually.
Yeah, me too. He didn't. Garcia with the own goal. That's the difference between the two sides. Kabamba's given Bromley the lead in that game in League 2. Corner taken short. Madueke urged to shoot on the edge of the area. Ezra in a slightly better position, crosses it in, and Kane at the far post has headed it over the bar.
Unfortunate there, tough arse there, not much pace on the ball. Kane's had to sort of good movement, he's had to dip out and dip in front of somebody to try and get an angle on the ball. They've just got too much elevation on it.
Yes, Nicky Kabamba that's got that goal for Bromley, who lead Gillingham by a goal to nil. The Gills on the back of 4 straight wins, unbeaten since March when they lost the game at Newport, but a goal down in the early stages at Hayes Lane today. Reece James inside the centre circle for England, down towards Madueke. Madueke and Rashford have both held the width as well. There's been no temptation with Ezra and Rice in the position that they're in to come inside. Madueke now will just come off the touchline a little bit, but only 6 or 7 yards or so. And Rashford similarly getting the paint of the touchline on his boots at the moment. Back he goes for Burn. Lewis Skelly drifting out to the left. There's more fluidity about England's movement as well than we've seen in latter day games. Gahey, James, forward up the right-hand touchline, down towards the corner flag for Noni Madueke, receiving the ball, a sea of yellow and blue around him, and he did well, a clever little trick to try and turn away from Oliveira, whose applause aimed at the referee as the ball has gone out of play for a goal kick perhaps belies the fact that it might have been a corner. But a goal kick is given, and we're 5 minutes away from half-time. It's only 1-0, but it has been a much better England performance, albeit against the side 174th in the world, than we saw the last time the two sides met.
Indeed, I've been pleased with the performance. And just looking at a review of the England goal, when the ball's hit the back of the net there and the ball was crossed in by Madueke, there was 4 England players, the 2 number 10s in Rice and Eze, Kane and Lewis Skelly, all within the width of the post. Really important we do that.
San Nicolas has given it away, trying to get the ball back to his centre halves. Only found Madueke. Rice picking the ball up, but Madueke, after a poor touch, had fouled Garcia. And a promising move comes to nothing.
Thomas Tuchel livid there. That was a really good opportunity there. England breaking with even players, if not a player overload. Madueke just got caught in 2 minds, I think.
So we talked about the fact that it has been an improved England performance. A little bit of tempo needed when the ball goes back to Burn. What other elements of fine-tuning is Thomas Tuchel going to be talking about when he has his half-time team talk in a few moments' time?
I think when we do switch it once or twice, if you get fronted up by 2 defenders and there's an overload, don't be afraid to put it in the box. The fact that we put it in the box got our goal. So it's forcing defenders to make decisions, and I think that's an important element as well that we've got to do continually. Wide areas, out your feet, put it in the box.
Here's Mark Gahey. As has been the case on many occasions, England with every outfield player in Andorran territory. They lead 1-0 with the Garcia own goal on 25 minutes. And England will break off the left-hand side now with Rashford again driving dynamically inside the Andorran penalty area. They can thrash it clear as far as Pickford, who controls it almost on halfway. He has had nothing to do. Burn. Forced Gahey to stretch to bring that under control. No harm done. England can then work it inside the Andorra box. Their keeper slices it clear. James comes to meet that, but heads it straight forward. And he goes out of play. 2.5 minutes to go. Reece James, clearly a player that played a lot under Thomas Tuchel. I think he played 75 games for him at Chelsea. But a man that he trusts. And I think that fitness permitting, James is a shoo-in in that right-back role. And against better opposition, he won't push forward as much as he is today. And he will drop in. But Lewis Skelly, I think, probably is ideal in the left-back position to come in and make those diagonal runs into the centre of midfield so that England can build with a 3 at the back and not a 4. Yeah,
definitely. I think the three-man build is a lot better. That is for sure. And if he can do that, all well and good. Tell you what, Elliott has been very good today. Sorry, Anderson.
Yeah, he really has. It's something that you have talked about for years, the importance for England of being able to build winning teams in age group football, and how that then manifests itself in the senior team when those same players are given an opportunity. And we're seeing the embodiment of that here from a man who's a European champion at under 21 level over the summer.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I totally agree, but almost in my words, I get bored with saying it.
It's Madueke firing inside the penalty area. Goalkeeper dropped the cross, but not quite at the feet of Eza, and it's cleared. And Andorra getting towards halfway and relative sanctuary again.
Yeah, and I think if we're going to a major tournament under 21 level this summer and winning it, and none of those players turn up in the first team, we're doing something wrong.
Well, if Anderson want to be able to make the breakthrough, there may well be others. Burn for Rice. Lofted pass out towards the England right-hand side for Reece James, who's controlled it neatly. He's not going to be too much time to be added on at the end of this first half, maybe only a minute. We're about 30 seconds away from finding out. And then England just get a little bit ragged with Rice looking for James and only finding touch. Had a play for an Andorra throw there, in absolutely no hurry to take this. They want a half-time breather. England leading 1-0 through that Garcia own goal on 25 minutes when he nodded the ball past his own goalkeeper, tried to keep a Madueke cross out of the flight path of Harry Kane. Now Cucu Fernandez goes down, and the referee has given a free kick against him and Anderson's way, which the Forest man has taken quickly, finding Dan Burn. Fall from him over halfway. No need for any stoppage time at the end of the first half. Well, it's 1-0 to England against Andorra again, as it was back in June, but a completely different feel about it here at Villa Park than there was in Barcelona. Much better performance up to this point against the same opposition. They've asked the much more pertinent questions, and this an insight, albeit against the side ranked outside the top 170 in the world, that maybe there is some improvement for England. 1-0 at half-time.
Well, only one England player has scored a goal against Andorra in 135 minutes of football. There's different ways of looking at it. Yeah, that was more positive, but it's 1-0 at home to Andorra at half-time, and England didn't even score the goal this afternoon. Which way do you look at it? Listen, when the game is finished, you can have your say from 7:30 with Rory Jennings on TalkSport. Make a note of the number 03717 223344. But Stuart Pearce, I've no doubt whatsoever, in all the years I've spent covering England for TalkSport, I've no doubt there will be England fans who have witnessed what we've just witnessed, and I know you have a positive, and Jim has just given the positives as well. They will be very negative about that performance. How come we haven't peppered the Andorran goal with shots? How come we haven't made that keeper work harder? Lots of these players, I mean, Jim just said there's one of their players plays in the equivalent of National League North. There's a lot of fifth-tier players, the equivalent of the English pyramid. So how on earth is it just 1-0 and that was an own goal? That will be one of the questions England fans will ask. So yeah, give us some positives. What is the reality of this situation?
Well, let me what were we looking for at the offset of the game? England to play with a better tempo, England to play forward a bit more often, England to put the ball in the box a little bit more often and ask questions.
And to score more.
And to score. I think you get the first three right, the fourth one will come and goals will come. I think they've done exactly that. As I said to Jim, if you said to me we're 3-0 up at the moment, but played half that style, half that tempo, I would take 1-0 all day as a manager. Honestly, I would, because I'm seeing things that I think they've talked about and worked on the training pitch. I've seen wide players not checking out all the time. I've seen defenders not slow build up all the time. I've been quite pleased with what I've seen personally.
Talk about those wingers. Noni Madueke, definitely a positive. His 4th goal involvement in 8 England games is a terrific stat for a young player. We've got to sort of balance that with the fact he might not start many games for Arsenal, but that's to be found out in due course. What about the other side? What do you made of Marcus Rashford? Positive?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think he's picked the ball up, he's run at the opposition. Well, the one element I think that we've lost at the moment is probably the incisive pass through the back line has just been overhit on too many occasions. That would be a negative for me. But aside from that, I think they're doing a lot of things right, and I'm pleased with what I'm seeing.
Talk to me about that midfield then. Anderson in his position. Has Rice done enough going forward? Has Eze done enough as that number 10?
Well, what I would say is when we scored our goal, you take a snapshot of what was in the box at the time. Between the goalpost, you had 4 England players. Rice, one of them, Eze the other, Kane and Lewis Skelly were in the box, all looking for knockdowns, all looking for...
Scottish Championship, Morton 0, Wraith Rovers 1, Ross County 1, Arbroath 2, in the Cymru Premier, Ballatown 0, Penybont 0, Cardiff Met 1, Colwyn Bay 4, Llanelli Town 0, Flint Town United 5, TNS 5, Haverfordwest 0, and in the Irish Premiership, Ballymena United 0, Glentoran 2, Bangor 0, Larne 2, Carrick Rangers 1, Cliftonville 2, Crusaders 0, Coleraine 4, Glenavon 0, Dungannon Swifts 2, and Linfield 3, Portadown 0. We are still waiting for the teams to come out for the second half, so a little bit of time, so a little bit of a tackle of Jim Proudfoot's trivia question. Since 2010, since the World Cup 2010, 12 Villa players have played for England. 4 are current: Conser, Mings, Watkins and Rogers. I'm baffled by this one, Jim Proudfoot. Faker Others said she's got 3. I think I've got 3. Jack Grealish is 1.
Yep.
Ross Barkley?
Ross isn't 1, no.
No, thanks for that. Ashley Young?
Ashley Young is correct. Yeah,
I love that.
Gareth Barry?
Gareth Barry?
No.
Is that your only offering, Stuart?
Wasn't playing for Villa since 2010.
Is that it?
Gabby
O'Connell.
His last cap was just before the 2010 World Cup.
Oh, close. Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford, correct.
Okay, we'll leave it there. You'll give us the answer, I'm sure, very soon. Teams are coming out for the second half here at Villa Park. Andorra have had the same coach doing the same thing with the same team for 15 years. It's why Thomas Tuchel warned us. They would be well drilled, they would be well organised, and that's why at half-time it's only England 1, Andorra 0. Second half, live on Talk Sport with former England captain Stuart Pearce, alongside your TalkSport England commentator, Jim Proudfoot.
Well, Adrian, thank you. It is 1-0 to England after that own goal from Garcia on 25 minutes. And no sign of any changes for either manager at half-time. England lining up with Pickford in goal, James Gahey, Byrne and Lewis Skelly. Anderson anchoring the midfield, Madueke, Rice, Eze and Rashford, and Harry Kane. On the England bench, Constant, Livramento and Spence, Jordan, Henderson, Gibbs, White, Loftus-Cheek, Rogers, Bowen, Gordon and Watkins, as well as the 2 goalkeepers. Andorra lining up Alvarez in goal, Borja Vera, Garcia, Oliveira and San Nicolas, a deep back 5. Rodrigo, Valles, Babbo and Servos. And Cuca Fernandez, an isolated forward man. We're back underway. Villa part the venue. England in white shirts, dark blue shorts, and they're kicking from right to left. They're defending the hold end in this second half. Andorra in all yellow, and as we look at it, there are 4 horizontal blue stripes down the left-hand side of their yellow shirts. Byrne getting the ball forward here for Mark Gahey. Harry Kane has this extraordinary record in qualifiers. He's played 38 qualifiers. That's World Cup and European Championship qualifiers combined. He scored 43 goals in those 38 qualifiers, which is some record. Actually, a better record in the World Cup qualifiers actually than the Europeans. It's 20 and 17 in this competition. Hasn't really had too many opportunities. He's had that one header in the first half that didn't hit the target. Will they be able to create something for him in this second half? So much England possession, but if you are being ultra-critical, only 3 attempts on target and only 3 off target through that opening 45 minutes for 83% of the ball. On the front foot here, they've won another throw. It's dead level with us. We're situated about 8 or 9 yards outside the penalty area that England are attacking. Throw is taken short for Elliot Anderson. Back to halfway. And now Gahey can turn and play it forward again. So the second half in a very similar vein to the first. Being ultra-critical, I suppose, not quite with the tempo that we saw in the early exchanges of the first 45 minutes. Andorra being hemmed in, forced to sit deeper and deeper. Crossfield ball down to this near touchline, doesn't find Lewis Skelly. Anderson is in there and has given the free kick away as he was leaning into Cucu Fernandez. Won the ball, fouled the player. Free kick to Andorra, who trail 1-0 with 47 gone.
Yeah, we've probably got a better viewpoint of this low block from Andorra. Really, between their lines of the 5 and the 4 in midfield, there's very little room at all. The only way you can breach that in many ways is not a through pass, is probably either a pass over the lot of it, which there isn't much room behind. Alternatively, you've got to keep using these wide players.
They're trying to do that now with Madueke. Ball down the line. Flag stays down against Harry Kane for now. It's down by the corner flag as he fires in the cross, and now the offside flag comes up, I think, correctly. And the free kick will be taken by Andorra away to our left. They haven't scored in their last 14 competitive internationals, so on that basis, a 1-0 deficit will feel like an impregnable mountain to climb. It's back in June 2023 when Albert Rosas scored away to Israel. Well, they've now gone some 22 hours and 26 minutes since they last scored a goal in a competitive international. Almost a day's worth. Pau Babo is the only player booked so far. Plays the ball out towards the right-hand side for Borra, making his way forward. A very ice-legged attack from right back. Serbos trying to curve the ball towards the edge of the penalty area where he was looking for Mark Valles. He's easily headed back. And England will be able to get it forward again. Now towards Reece James. Kane making the run. Maybe just went that little bit too early, or perhaps more accurately, the ball wasn't played early enough for him. Madueke will pick it up. England recycle it and start to build from a little bit deeper. Byrne getting it forward here for Rice. Lewis Skelly right in front of us, waiting to receive the pass, and doing so now, winning his 4th cap today. Rashford back for Byrne. One diagonal from him, just catches the breeze and sails over the head of Reece James out of play for a throw.
Yeah, you picked up just a minute ago, Jim, about Harry Kane's run. What his run did, he darted in behind basically, looking for a pass beyond. I think in his mind was, well, if I make that run, they've got to cover it, and it leaves space for Eze and Rice in behind, which it actually did.
Thomas Tuchel is cutting quite a disconsolate figure on the edge of the technical area, but he's not too happy with the start of the second half. This might improve his mood. Eze, good save. Comes out for Rashford, and he's put it wide. Glorious opportunity for England to double the lead. Best move of the second half so far. Virgie Eze forcing the initial save. Ball came out to Rashford. He was only 10-11 yards out. He had time to take a touch, get it onto his right foot, and he tried to shape it into the top right-hand corner, but he sent it too far wide.
Well, I've got to say, wonderful wing play there by Madueke. Really good, went past 3 players on the switch of play. I thought Eze was going to take the shot from the first time, but he took a touch, and then from that moment on you thought it's got to hit the back of the net. Good play, England.
So Rashford missing the target. He's had a mixed bag of a start at Barcelona. He's had 3 appearances for them so far. He's only started the one game. They took him off at half-time in that. Off the bench in his other 2 appearances. This today only his 8th international start in well over 4 years. Kane putting the pressure on the goalkeeper. Elliot Anderson has won it back. Then Kane for Anderson. And at the second attempt, he's just headed away from him by Rivera. Nearly a debut goal. England come again. Kane onside again. Trying to stand it up towards the far post. Couldn't get another misfoot underneath it. And Iker Alvarez very gratefully pounces on the ball. But that's 2 promising moves from England. And that one, led by the intensity of Kane's press, putting the pressure on the goalkeeper and forcing the error.
Yeah, it was Kane first on the press, but Anderson was the one who turned the ball over. Brilliant from him, backing up Kane. And I thought Kane's ball into him may have been a little bit firm, Jim. I don't know what you thought on that, the cutback.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'll tell you something, Elliot Anderson has really caught the eye. I can pay him no higher a compliment than by saying that in Adrian Durham's marks out of 10 after this game, he might even get a 6 or a 7. That's how good he has been.
I take your sarcasm and I carry it. In fact, well, leading on from that, talking about marks of players, I give Aid a lift up to the game today, and he had the front to tell me about his playing career. You know what I mean? I nearly dozed off on the M40 listening to it, but don't tell him I said that, all right?
It had only been a micro-sleep. His playing career didn't last very long. In comes this free kick from Servos for Andorra. Rice winning the initial header. England leading by a goal to 0. Chance on the edge of the penalty area for the off-balance Oliveira. They sliced it high and wide and halfway back the Holt head. That was a source of concern just for a moment for England. They didn't deal with the ball inside the penalty area from the set piece. And the second ball won by a man in yellow. No harm done. It's still 1-0. That is Andorra's first attempt of the game. It's come in the 8th minute of this second half here on TalkSport. Rashford offside, I think, when Rice played the ball forward. The flag has stayed down for now. He's got 2 to hit in the area, including Eza, who skied it over the bar anyway. But then the flag does come up against Rashford.
Oh, Declan, he's held on to the ball so long. He needs to take 2 touches and play it anywhere in the opposition's half, and he's held it that long that Rashford couldn't check his run. Real frustration there. I forgot to mention, he also told me he was a left back in his day, so I didn't really know where this conversation was going.
Halfway through Fantasyland, I think, by the sound of it. I tell you something, I've seen him play. He was better than me. That's all I'm saying. Now the ball towards Cuckoo Fernandez on the edge of the England penalty area. And again, there's Elliot Anderson. He must have covered so much ground in this game, finding himself as the defensive midfield linchpin, finding himself up in support of Harry Kane at times as well. Here's Rice. Talk about Aiden's marks out of 10, incidentally. You will be able to hear those on the TalkSport podcast. We'll be reflecting on everything that we've seen today and hearing within that podcast as well from Thomas Tuchel. We'll have all the England interviews, all part of the England podcast, the TalkSport podcast tomorrow morning with Stuart and myself and Adrian chewing the fat. Available in the usual places on your podcast providers. Declan Rice plays the ball back for Lewis Skelly. 9 gone second half. England leading Andorra by a goal. They've got a good day in store tomorrow on the TalkSport network. You're home of the WSL. New 3-year partnership with WSL Football, holding the radio rights till 2028 here on TalkSport. The coverage resumes tomorrow at midday with a Merseyside derby from Anfield. It's the WSL opening weekend continuing tomorrow. Also tomorrow, it's the Hull derby, Hull KR against Hull FC at 3 p.m. tomorrow on TalkSport 2. And that's before our NFL doubleheader, Pittsburgh Steelers against the New York Jets at 5, and then the 49ers against the Seahawks at 9. So much live football coming your way tomorrow, even on an international weekend. And we will all reconvene out in Belgrade on Tuesday for England's trip to Serbia. Andorran free kick from halfway. Going forward optimistically towards the edge of the England penalty area. Brought under control by Reece James. James fires one over the top. Madueke sprinting after it. Couldn't keep it in. The idea was right. That was England going from back to front very quickly, but just a little bit too much pace on the ball for Madueke, who made a vain chase but couldn't get there. Goes out of play for a throw to the Andorrans. 10 minutes gone in this second half, and England still leading. But haven't been able to add in the last half hour to that own goal on 25 minutes.
No, they certainly haven't. And another strain to why I'm enjoying Declan Rice playing in a more advanced area. I've sort of been half critical of Dec in the past for him being the main protagonist in slowing play down in the backwards and sideways scenario. So him moving further up the pitch, Anderson done himself no harm at all so far in how he's played.
Well, there's some action on the Andorran bench away to our right-hand side, and we're going to see Lopez and Guillen come on very shortly. A double change. Andorra again trying to get inside the England penalty area, and have conceded a free kick in doing so. The last 5 or 6 minutes, England have just gone off the boil defensively. They've just allowed Andorra to win a few more of those midfield skirmishes. They've conceded a couple of set pieces. England have sat that little bit deeper. It's just encouraged Andorra to come onto them a little and create only not even half chances, but to get better possession inside England territory. Yeah,
you're talking about territory, aren't you, really? You know that they've had a couple of opportunities just to gain territory and put England on the back foot a touch.
Here's Byrne. No sign of an England change coming as yet. There's going to be a double change, a striker and a central midfielder coming on for Andorra, so you would imagine it will be potentially Marc Valles and Cucu Fernandez who will come off. And they're working the ball down the left-hand side of the penalty area. Thought they'd got a corner, but the Finnish officials have given a goal kick, and that will allow the Andorrans the opportunity to make this double change. So Guillen Lopez, who made his full debut against Serbia back in June, will come on to win his 4th cap. Cucu Fernandez has run hard, but it's been a difficult afternoon for him. And Guillen will come on to replace Marc Valles in the heart of the midfield. João Guillen, the 23-year-old midfielder, coming on for his 16th appearance. So 2 straight swaps for Andorra. Trailing here by a golden end. Has the second half been better or not as good as the first from an England perspective? If you were sharpening your pen to write some criticism about England's performance in the first 45 minutes, have you been encouraged by what you've seen, or are you getting a little bit more ammunition since half-time?
I think we've slowed the tempo slightly, but we might well have created a couple of slightly better chances, bizarrely, but it's just a case of keep knocking on the door, keep moving the ball, and I'm sure at some stage there'll be a couple of fresh legs coming on, and they've got to carry on in the same vein.
There's a finding Madueke. Good ball back from Noni Madueke. Very quickly got everybody back behind it again, though. Gahey now towards James. Madueke, who, as Adrian mentioned earlier, has got 4 goal involvements in his 8 England appearances now, which is a decent start to his career. Andorra will get that one away, and it goes out for an England throw inside their own half. We're coming up to the hour mark here on TalkSport. Still England 1, Andorra 0. Lewis Skelly waiting for options to present themselves for a throw. He's thrown it back for Rice's run, just for a moment as though he was potentially throwing that to Servos, but England can mop up and get it out towards the right-hand side, then a chance for them to bring it forward again. Kane playing on the shoulder of the last defender, making the run. James, I think, correctly sensed he was offside and went back rather than trying to get one round the back. Byrne down towards Rice. Lewis Skelly waiting on the edge of the penalty area. Rashford's turned back the other way. I don't know whether we'll see Gordon for Rashford before too long. Anthony Gordon is just out warming up. Byrne back towards Mark Gahey again. Forward towards Marcus Rashford in the central position this time. Chips one down towards Lewis Skelly. Awkward but effective take from him. but he's got it under control in an offside position. What do England need to do in terms of personnel then to shake things up? In terms of attacking options on the bench, Rodgers and Bowen, Gordon and Watkins.
Yeah, I'm going to make a point about what I've seen so far. I think if you looked at all the clips of all the good moments England have had when we've stretched Andorra or scored, there's been an involvement from our wide players in one way, shape or form, that they've created something, gone past somebody, delivered across. So if you're going to make a change, make sure that the change in the wide areas is an individual that can go past somebody with a bit of pace and a bit of skill and be prepped to do so.
So what you're saying is you want to see Gordon brought on?
Well, Gordon or Bowen's got it in him to do exactly the same, but I think the two wide players have done particularly well in my eyes.
As Rashford comes forward again, right on cue, and wins another corner off Biel Borra, the Andorran right back. It's the first corner of this second half, England's fifth of the game. Rice will come across and take it. These are the ones from which he's most effective. When he's playing an in-swinging corner in from the left. So England setting up with Rashford near the edge of the 6-yard box. Gahey in the 6. Ezra offering himself for the short one, but he's got a man on him. Kane by the penalty spot is unmarked. He's making a run deep in towards the far post where Dan Burn is there. Burn heading it back through the 6-yard box, and Andorra smack it away. It's the substitute Lopez that gets it clear and out for a throw. Something went wrong there defensively from Andorra, leaving Harry Kane absolutely free. But England couldn't find him with a ball that was played back by Dan Burn. It's gone out of play for a throw that Lewis Skelly takes. Morgan Rodgers is out warming up. Might see him before too long. Burn to Gahey, to James. Out to Noni Madueke again. Taking on San Nicolas, the left back. Checks back inside. Pulls it back to the corner of the penalty area where James fires in a low cross. That's headed away. Back out for Reece James again. 1-0 here on TalkSport, but only one. And the goal, an own goal from Garcia on 25 minutes. 40 minutes since England had the ball in the net. Anderson, who is going to be right up the top of most people's thinking for the Man of the Match award. Burn, Madueke. Turning away in the midfield and then giving it away. Rare mistake from him. He's presented it straight to Servos, and the yellow shirts will try and come forward quickly here. Borra, Rice across, and did his job defensively very well. Stopped Borra finding too much headway up the right-hand touchline, and then Rice was able to play it off him and now to play for an England throw. Taken short into the feet of Anderson. And Anderson will find Lewis Skelly, and England then can go back for Dan Burn. Just need to try and find that tempo again to revitalise themselves, England. And push forward with a little bit greater enthusiasm. James, 19 gone in the second half.
Just as a follow on that question about a potential substitutes that might instill a bit of that, I think Livramento maybe coming on at right back wouldn't be a bad option either.
So here's Lewis Skelly to Rice, to Rashford. Now back for Dan Burn, to Rice again. Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes out to warm up. Rashford yarding from the left-hand touchline. Rice has got time to bring a slightly errant pass under control. Back from him to Burn. Burn missed Gahey with the pass, but again he's got all the time in the world to run round it and bring it under control. Back out towards Reece James. England 20 yards from the edge of the penalty area, but going sideways at the moment. Just trying to draw Andorra in. Now play between the lines towards Madueke. He was well challenged by Babo. Andorra survived that particular threat. So England in the next phase of play will have to start that little bit deeper, but do so with Burn. Burn into the feet of Rice. Anderson wanting the ball and complaining when he didn't get it. It's gone the other way towards Marcus Rashford. Servos has tapped it away from him, and then it's blocked by Rashford, goes out of play, and it's a goal kick to Andorra. 20 gone second half, and it is going to be at least a double change, a triple change, I think, because Livramento is receiving instruction from Thomas Tuchel. Anthony Gordon being spoken to as well, and now Morgan Rodgers of Aston Villa will put his number 15 shirt on, and he will also be introduced very shortly. It's another well-beaten drum, Stuart. The talk of the fact that it is a squad game at international level and that the strength of players 12 to 23, which is almost unrivaled in the England squad, should be a very good asset in the tournament. The ability to be able to make changes and deal with injuries.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I say, it's become so important. I mean, we've covered it many times, you know, especially at the tournaments, the importance of who have you got as an impact player, who have you got that's specialised on the bench that can come and have an impact in the game, whatever's needed, state of game.
1-0 to England with just over 20 minutes played in the second half. England's previous games against Andorra, they've scored a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, 2 5s and a 6. Finding the opposition tough nut to crack. Just shy of the midway stage of the second half here on TalkSport. Here's Byrne again. Way back to Gahey, 4 towards James. Kane making an early run. It's Rice coming round the back, and he's headed it in for 2. And the cheer is one of relief from an England perspective. Again, no surprise that it's a quality ball in from the flanks that does the damage. Kane drawing a defender under the flight of it and creating space for Declan Rice's run in behind. His 6th international goal. England 2, Andorra 0.
Yeah, once again, Rice very advanced, straight in the box, on the far post on this occasion, and we got it out wide, and instead of messing around, it's gone straight in the box, and it's an easy tactic. You either go and take them on, or if you look up and there's traffic in front of you, put it in the box, it causes problems. And Declan got himself in a brilliant position. I've got to say it was a super cross in as well.
So the changes will be made. Reece James is coming off, Livramento on for him. Gordon is coming on for Rashford. And Morgan Rogers will replace Declan Rice, who leaves the field having scored with his last touch.
Yeah, as I say, I can see that. They're probably keeping Declan a little bit fresh, you know. I think out of all the players on the pitch, he's arguably the most assured of starting in the position that he plays. And I think having him further advanced in the team is a real bonus for me.
So Anderson sitting deepest, and it's Eza and Rogers ahead of him now, having been Eza and Rice. And we're talking about Jude Bellingham at length in the build-up to the game. There's a fascinating article that Ollie Holt has written in the Daily Mail talking about Mark Bellingham and talking about Jude as well. Probably having their thoughts on Jude, who's not playing today because of injury, not in the squad, of course, but you look at the way that England is set up. If it's in this formation, who's the player that misses out? Do you play Rice deepest, leave out Anderson, and then play Bellingham and Eza, say, or Bellingham and another, or do you stick with Anderson and play Bellingham alongside Rice and then leave Eza out? It's going to be a conundrum as far as the manager is concerned. Stuart's thoughts on that in a moment as England bring it forward here with Tino Livramento, just the second cap for him in his debut against Ireland in Lee Carsley's last game in charge last season. Byrne to Gordon. Work by Anderson back out towards the England right-hand side again. Livramento with a little give and go, but Madueke elected instead just to turn the ball across the edge of the penalty area for Lewis Skelly. Give you the answer to that England trivia question very shortly as well. The players that have played since the 2010 World Cup for England whilst at Aston Villa, 12 of them in all. We'll run through them very shortly. Back towards Dan Byrne, England leading 2-0, and England went backwards there. Thomas Tuchel couldn't hide his dismay. Ball over the top here, Lewis Skelly taking it, but the referee said that he handled it. So here are the answers then. Since the 2010 World Cup, 12 men have played for England whilst at Aston Villa. Gave you 4 of them, those that are currently here: Concert, Mings, Rogers and Watkins. We asked you who the other 8 were. I think between you all, you came up with Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Ashley Young. There's James Milner, who left just after the 2010 World Cup. Stuart Downing, Fabian Delph. Did you not mention drive time god Darren Bent? Oh no, you didn't. And also the hard one, Stephen Warnock, who only played 18 minutes of football for England whilst an Aston Villa player. But those were the 12. Well done if you got them all. Gordon has just been pulled down there. The referee has come across to the England subs who are moaning and has told them to shut up. Clearly Gordon was almost had his kicks pulled down. That was the manner of defending. I think of a more eloquent way of putting it than that, but apparently that's not a foul.
No, I think the referee's been very consistent today. There's been a lot of, I wouldn't say niggly fouls, but a little bit of gamesmanship in players going down a little bit cheaply on occasion, and he's just said, no, I'm not going to stop the game, you carry on. I think on that occasion there was a slight tug back on the Keck area, as you pointed out.
Here's Lewis Skelly. Well, he should have been a doctor. The ball out of the England right-hand side. Lonnie Madueke is near the corner of the penalty area. England 2 up, but if they could add another couple of goals in the last 20 minutes or so, it would put a gloss on this performance, which has certainly been good in parts. Gordon into the feet of Eza inside the penalty area and knocked away well. Chance for Gahey to shoot. He was a long way out, played a better option, working it inside the penalty area where Gordon has come to meet the ball, and the free kick's gone against him. Free kick that Andorra will take. In front of a crowd today at Villa Park of just a shade over 39,000. It is the first England game here since a 0-0 draw against the Dutch back in 2005. England have only won one of their last 4 internationals here, which was a very impressive game with the big Spain 3-0, first game under Sven back in 2001. They lead this one by 2 goals to 0. The bottom line is, of course, qualification. And England are going to be maintaining their 100% record. 12 points from 4 games, taking that 100% record to Serbia, but knowing that Serbia will be back above them at the top of the group were England to lose that game. That's live for you on Tuesday.
See, this is the situation we've just seen there. Dan Burn collected the ball from the goalie. We've turned defence into attack, and he's run the ball 40 yards, Jim, instead of taking one touch and shoving it into Lewis Skelly's feet, who was further up the pitch than him.
Gahey getting the ball out towards the right-hand side for the thick set right back Tino Livramento. And they're trying to work the ball inside the penalty area, and again they just can't find the gaps in this couple of parallel yellow defensive walls that they're trying to knock down.
I think at this stage you've got to look and say, how have we scored our goals? We've scored them from 2 crosses. I think sometimes we're looking for the immaculate way of playing through at present, instead of saying, right, OK, we'll switch it, get it out wide and whip it in the box and get players in and around the area to finish.
One of those players in and around the area is Morgan Rogers, but he can't get the ball out from underneath his feet, and it's Oliveira stepping up from the defensive line, who deals with the threat. Andorra with a throw over on the far side. Your reaction is going to be very interesting. I think Stuart and I both feel that it is a performance with positives for England, but as Adrian pointed out at half-time, and rightly so, it's also one of those performances that is going to draw criticism. So it'll be interesting to see exactly where the balance is. Rory Jennings is taking your calls. You can book them now. 03717223344. We'll get all the reaction from downstairs in the tunnel here. We're here from Thomas Tuchel and the headline makers as well. England are going to be bringing another Villa player, Ezri Konsa, on very shortly. That will be their 4th change out of the 5 permitted. It's 2-0 to England. Burn. Fall by him to Lewis Skelly. I'm not asking you to be critical of Dan Burn, but I take it from what you're saying that maybe if John Stones was fit, Burn will be a player that would miss out. You go Stones and Gahey.
I think so. I thought the pairing of Konsa last time out was reasonable as well. I think Dan's played well enough today, and he offers you that target and he offers you other things. I just think he's just got the habit of driving with the ball or running with the ball when I think he can get it at his feet in two-touch and just shove it into his wide player. And I think here's another point in case. Rice coming off, Gahey coming off, two individuals that are going to be very, very important to us Tuesday night in Belgrade.
So Gahey makes way. Ezri Konsa's going to come on. Konsa, before tonight, one of only two outfield players to have started all three World Cup qualifiers under Thomas Tuchel. And he comes on to win cap number 13. And he will take Gahey's position on the right of the two centre-halves. 14 minutes to go. And England lead Andorra 2-0. Dan Burns in possession. And it's easy possession. He's allowed to come forward 20 yards into Andorran territory. It's ball in towards Anthony Gordon's feet. Was a difficult one for his club teammate to take. And Servos has won it back. It's then sliced straight out of play by Yavera for a throw that will be taken by Lewis Skelly. England now haven't conceded a goal in a competitive international for just 10 minutes short of 9 hours since they were breached late on in their game against Finland. 29 minutes without conceding in a competitive game. A decent record that. Here's Madueke. Level the edge of the box. Left-footed ball curved inside the penalty area. Gordon going up for his offside. Missed with the header, which was well saved. Couldn't find Kane with it either, but the flag was up.
See, point in case again. They're bulked up behind. We've got numbers in the box. Get it at your feet and put it in the box. All of a sudden, you've got opportunities to score goals, and I think we should probably just carry on in that vein slightly.
So on that basis, why don't we do it? If you can see it, and it's something that you've talked about, you talked about it in the build-up to the game, saying that this was the way that you could beat a side like Andorra. Why are England showing such a reluctance to do that?
Well, it's player decision at that stage, Jim. What we're saying is get the ball out wide because we've got two good, effective wide players that can go past people. If you get the opportunity, go and take them on. Then it's down to the players when that ball arrives at their feet, all the supporting fullbacks, when it breaks down and comes back, get it at your feet, one touch, next touch, put it in the box. Both of our goals have come from that, one from a short distance and one from a slightly further distance.
England have made another change. Eza off and Morgan Gibbs-White has come on, his fifth cap, all off the bench. He scored against the Andorran under-21s a few years back, and he's on. Here's Lewis Skelly. He's travelled a long ways inside the penalty area, sandwiched between two Andorran defenders who won it cleanly enough. The goalkeeper is able to pounce on the loose ball and gratefully gather. 2-0. It was a decent challenge actually, just coming in from the right back Bora. Just got the studs of his right foot to the ball to flick it away from Lewis Skelly, but a good attacking, driving run from the young fullback. Konsa works it back to his goalkeeper. Here's Anderson. Fall from Anderson into the feet of Morgan Gibbs-White, who gets it and then turns. And the pass to Lewis Skelly down the left-hand side was on, but England have taken a slightly more circuitous and central route.
I think the young man's got to be a little bit more aggressive with his verbals to tell him, I want the ball and I want it a little bit quicker. I know when you're young and you're coming into the game, but he's in an acre of space out here and needs the ball into his feet a little bit sharper than it's coming.
Yeah, he might still be 3 weeks short of his 19th birthday. He's not a player short of confidence, though, Miles Lewis Skelly, nor should he be. Found himself in a great position there, and England didn't find him in it. Lewis Skelly's taken a throw. Back for Gordon. Gordon to Dan Burn as we approach the final 10 minutes here in Birmingham. England leading 2-0. It's Morgan Gibbs-White. Just trying to draw Servos towards him. Finds Gordon instead. Now Gibbs-White. 15 outside the penalty area. Konsa coming onto that. Livramento offering the width on the England right. It's been quite a short since coming on. Back from him to Konsa. Tino Livramento again. Originally Newcastle contingent in this England side. Konsa. Livramento once more. Gibbs-White in a central position. It's a good run in by Morgan Rogers. They found him inside the box. He couldn't turn though and bring the ball under control in the same movement. And Andorra are able to get it away. to the final 10. 2-0 the score still in England's favour on TalkSport.
Yeah, I've got a feeling England will extend the lead a little bit further, whether that pacifies one or two in regard to the scoreline, but I certainly think the performance is something to build on without a doubt. It's been a better tempo, certainly first half, than we've seen over previous games, and I would take this performance away into Serbia and then see where we go from there.
Andorra just making a change. Rodrigo coming off. The right-sided midfielder replaced by a left-back, Daku, Adri Dacunia, Daku as he is known. So he comes on for the final 9 minutes. I want you to put a figure on it, the next break in play. How many you'd have given England out of 10 overall for their performance in Andorra? How many you'd give them out of 10 for this performance tonight? It'll be interesting to see whether England fans agree with you in that. Finally with Rory Jennings on 03717223344 here on TalkSport. A free kick to Andorra here on halfway, which Oliveira takes. Finds Guevara on the right of the three centre-halves, wide from him for Borra. Borra working it down the line past Miles Lewis-Skelly. Difficult one for Lopez to control. He's had nothing to feed upon at all since coming on. And England win it back with Byrne nudging it forward here for Elliot Anderson. Anderson with a debut to be proud of, playing it out to the England right-hand side. Worked down the line by Livramento. Morgan Rogers is in behind. Kane attacking the near post. Gordon is in there as well. And England get a corner and no more.
Yeah, good play once again. Great run out wide, and once again ball in the box. All of a sudden, every time it flashes in the box, you feel as though England might get something from it.
So Gordon going across to take this corner. Portugal 5 up in Armenia, incidentally. Cristiano Ronaldo's got a couple of those. He's now up to 140 international goals. Joao Felix has got 2 as well. Joao Cancelo with the other. 5-0 Portugal leading. The other game in this group was won by Serbia earlier. They beat Latvia 1-0 in Riga. England as things stand at the moment. And I got maths slightly wrong. 12 points from 4 games, England. Serbia 7 from 3. Albania 5 from 4. Latvia 4 from 3. 4 from 4, I beg your pardon. Andorra none from 5. That's how the group is looking as we stand right now. Absolutely no reason to suggest that won't be how it looks in 10 minutes' time. Gordon taking the corner short. Back for Gibbs-White. Madueke, edge of the penalty area, left-footed. Who's the cross-come shot, flicked in with pace but easily cleared. Byrne back out for Gibbs-White. Give and go between him and Lewis-Skelly. Madueke takes it inside the penalty area. Back out again for Morgan Gibbs-White. Now to Gordon. Gibbs-White right in front of the referee. To Gordon. Madueke trying to deliver. It's a right-footed sliding attempt from Gibbs-White. The ball was slightly behind him, and he couldn't hook it with enough power towards goal. He got the shot on target, but it was a comfortable save for Alvarez.
Yeah, as I say, we try to knock on the door going through the middle with 1-2s. There's literally no room in there with the congestion of players. Had to go out wide.
Here's Borra. And he's made some 30 yards forward from right back. Crowd here at Villa Park beginning to thin out. Plenty of light blue seats in evidence away to our right-hand side on the Holt now. Sebos. 5 yards in from the right-hand touchline. Trying to get around the back of Lewis-Skelly, but Pompey tackles him in his attempt to do so. And it's a free kick which will be taken by England. And Lewis-Skelly just being helped back to his feet. Give us those marks out of 10 then. What would you give England for their performance in Andorra, and how many have they improved out of 10 today?
I would have said, from what I saw, somewhere between 3 and 4 away from home today. I think for what I wanted to see from the team, I would have said this is somewhere between a 6 and 7. That's how I view it, definitely.
It's a wholesale improvement, but still room for further improvement. Hopefully we'll see some of that in Belgrade on Tuesday. Livramento, Byrne, Gibbs-White. Into the feet of Gordon, inside left channel. Little nutmeg of the nearest defender, Borra, finding Lewis-Skelly. Borra can't prevent the corner. Did his best. He slices it away into the north stand and out of play for another corner, which will be taken on the England left by Anthony Gordon. 2-0 to England, but Can they finesse this scoreline with further breach of this resolute Andorran back line? Gordon to take the corner. The ball not spotted legitimately. It's a half circumference off the quadrant. Raises his left arm, swings it in. Goalkeeper's done well, comes to meet it through a congested 6-yard box, punches it clear. And Andorra get it further clear to halfway, where it's being England thrown.
Yeah, I think from Andorra's point of view, they've done exactly what it says on the tin in many ways, you know. They banked up behind the ball, they've worked tirelessly. I've got to say, no one switched off in the main. They've gone with their runners, and that's made it quite difficult for England.
Gordon. Back for Gibbs White. Gibbs White curving it in. Livramento coming around the back. Morgan Rogers almost able to get a touch, attacking the near post, and it spun off somebody through the 6-yard box, but away from Kane. Andorra again will be able to hammer it away. Yet another illustration of the fact that England look at their most potent when they can supply some width.
Indeed, yeah, exactly that then. Whipped in, opposite fullback getting in the box, keeping it alive, and panic stations.
Concept to Byrne, 3 to go. England 2 up. Here's Gordon again. If England play like this, do they win in Serbia?
That's a whole different game, to be honest with you. We've got to play with that intensity, but we've also got to defend extremely well.
Madueke with a very visible sign of dissent, having gone over inside the penalty area and had the penalty appeals waved away. It will be looked at by the Belgian VAR, Bram van Driessen. But we play on for now with Gibbs White. Played it back for Lewis Skelly. Now Byrne down towards Gordon. Gordon 3 yards in from the left-hand touchline. 4 England players across the edge of the penalty area. And Gordon's nudged it back instead towards Dan Byrne. Elliot Anderson getting it forward. Lewis Skelly has it again. Down in front of us on the England left. Gordon. Gibbs White flicking it round the corner. It's a blind ball towards Harry Kane, who made the right run. He's scored in his last 5 internationals. Kane, is the scoring streak going to stop at home to Andorra? It's looking that way at the moment. He hasn't really had too many opportunities worthy of the name. Visitors get it away. 2 halfway. Burns won it back. Then play forward by Anderson to Rogers. Rogers in towards Gordon. Kane wanted it first time into his feet and couldn't hide his dismay when it didn't come. England go back to come forward again. Died head of Rogers. Rogers coming inside the penalty area, and it looks as though the goalkeeper was going to be able to prevent the corner. One of his centre-halves kicked it out of his hands and puts it out for a goal.
Yeah, another opportunity, and Ronnie Madueke has gone to see the referee to argue his case on that potential penalty claim. It was a semi-tug. I'm not sure there was enough in the standard of refereeing the referees officiated today to give a penalty from his point of view, definitely.
Check complete. Well, the fans haven't been told that yet. In comes the corner from Gordon. It's deep towards the far post, nodded down by Byrne. Concer's in there trying to make life difficult. Then Byrne is as well. But an Andorran player goes down. It's a foul on Oliveira. And the free kick goes Andorra's way. They're in the 90th minute. I think Kent Derby in League 2. Josh Andrews has pulled one back for Gillingham at Bromley, but it's still 2-1, and Bromley top of the table as things stand right now. As a game taking place in the National League as well. Aldershot, a goal up at home to Brackley in that. And that one is just coming up to the hour mark. And the boot race just a little bit high. I think Dunburn got a yellow card for that. First England player to be booked. Andorra will make a double change as we prepare to go into stoppage time. Now we're going to see Jesus Rubio, a right winger who has scored an international goal. He's going to be coming on. And Mark Rebes, who scored the famous winner against Hungary back in 2017 for Andorra. And he'll come on for stoppage time as well. So a double change being made. Savos and Babo, the players who are being replaced. 3 minutes of stoppage time when these subs have come on. England leading by 2 goals to 0. Where are you looking at potentially for your man of the match? Can you see past Anderson?
No, I think he's played very well. I also think Madueke's played pretty well on the flank. Harry's not had too much involvement. No, for me, it's between Madueke and Anderson, and Anderson's been the better of the two for sure.
Harry Kane has played 10 games against sides ranked outside the top 100 in the world in his international career. He's scored in 9 of the 10. 13 goals altogether in those games. It looks as though he might be drawing another blank here. 3 minutes of stoppage time for him to get his name on the score sheet and extend his own personal streak to 6 in a row. Gibbs White to Lewis Skelly. Kane waiting patiently, but he's still well marshalled by Garcia. It hasn't left him alone all night. Ezri Konsa coming forward. 2-0 England lead on TalkSport with all the reaction from downstairs to come. The headline makers and Thomas Tuchel giving the Faker Others, our England correspondent, their thoughts about how things have gone tonight, what's improved, what still needs further improvement. Look ahead to the Serbia game as well. 2-0 to England. That looks as though it's going to be how it's going to finish. Ball out of play for a goal kick, which Andorra will take away to our left-hand side. I think just expanding on the point you made about 10 minutes ago, sides like Andorra have got so much better at what they do. The coaching has improved markedly. I mean, Coldo Alvarez has lost 100 games as an international manager. There's never any thought of getting rid of him because he has been able to get a side who were losing 7 and 8-0 nearly every time they played to only lose 2 and 3-0 every time they play, and that's marked improvement.
Yeah, they're incredibly well organised, motivated. Look at the wide player here. He's turned round, the ball's gone beyond him, and he's sprinted back to get goal side and help his fullback out, and he's just gone and won the ball, won a throw-in. Absolutely. We're talking 90 odd minutes on the clock, Jim, and they're 2-0 down and not had a touch of the ball for 90 minutes. And to motivate players to do that is quite incredible.
Now the same player, Jez Rubio's just gone through, Anthony Gordon. No harm done, he's picked himself back to his feet, and England take a free kick quickly. But they work wide for Tino Livramento. To Morgan Gibbs White, and that will do. Well, it's only 2. And I suppose from that point of view, there will be brickbats and criticism levelled at the 3 Lions, but the feeling within Villa Park is that it was an improved England performance, much better than the 2 displays in June. Clearly still a lot to work on, but there were positives, a better tempo. England looked more potent from wide positions, and they've won it with an own goal and a Declan Rice header. England 2, Andorra 0. They maintain their 100% record and still comfortably clear at the top of the group.
Yeah, top of the group, and there's definitely some positives there without a doubt, and the positive is that they are top of the group. They are 100% in the group, but having played Andorra twice in those 4 games, you would expect them to be 100%. There's a big test coming up Tuesday night in Serbia, and TalkSport will be there for the game for full commentary. That will be the toughest test in the group so far, and probably the toughest test of them all. As Thomas Tuchel walks down the touchline in front of us, I think he gave Stuart Pearce the thumbs up there. I'm not quite sure why, but I don't know. I thought that was tough. And the fact, Stuart, there were thousands of fans that left way before the end of the game here at Villa Park. And when you bear in mind it's only just coming up to 7 p.m, does that not reflect on what they thought of the performance here this afternoon? Yes, they won, but nobody was really entertained that much, were they?
Listen, I can only say what I see with my own eyes. I think England played with a higher tempo, better revs in the tank, played more forthright, played more forward passes than we've seen over the last couple of games. That pleased me. I think within that there was a lot of really good team performances across the back line. I thought everyone done quite well, done their job. Anderson, I thought, played very well, especially for a lightly raced individual. I thought the 2 wide players got the ball and attacked their fullbacks. I wanted to see that. Harry Kane had very little effect on the game, but I don't think that was his fault. You know, just delivery of the ball, to be fair, and the position he played, he was outnumbered. I think there was a lot of positives from this. If you think you're going to come here and see a 6-7-0 at this day and age against these teams, Jim outlined it brilliantly. So well organised, and I tell you what, they would have soaked their shirts in sweat, the Andorrans, which they do when they play international football.
That is a very good point, and Thomas Tuchel made that point in the build-up, saying that it's been the same coach for 15 years. They've been doing the same things, hard work, well organised, well drilled. They get behind the ball. They have this low block, this 5-4-1, and that's being optimistic with a 5-4-1. However, Thomas Tuchel did say that it's up to us to break that down. We've got to be sharper. He used phrases like, we need to be more fluid, we need to be more aggressive, there needs to be more intensity, more rhythm than they showed in Barcelona. Now, you're saying what you've seen with your own eyes, and nobody could disagree with that. You've seen it with your own eyes, so that's fair enough. The stats don't actually back up that we were better than in Barcelona against Andorra a couple of months ago. England had 11 shots, 7 of those were on target. It was 20-10 in Barcelona for the 1-0 win. They're roughly the same amount of possession, 82.8%. So, I don't know, when you've got players who are the equivalent of 4th or 5th tier playing for Andorra here at Villa Park, England at home, I think that fans have a right to come here and expect to see 4 or 5 goals put past that team. These are Premier League players. These are the elite players. And we see them playing really well week in, week out in the Premier League. So I'm as baffled as some of the fans here as to why that hasn't happened. And you're right that the first goal is a cross that goes into the box, is headed in by an Andorran defender. The second goal is an early cross. Declan Rice is forward, heads it in. So the secret there is get the ball into the box. They just didn't do that enough, in my opinion. Well,
I think the secret is feed the wide players as quickly as you can. If they can get past anyone, all well and good. You're going to get a cross from a closer angle. If not, the ball comes backwards, or you check, but put the ball in the box. And then it sends a message out to the likes of Rice, Eze, Kane. The ball will be coming in, and they can make those runs accordingly. We might not in this game have finished with a lot of shots and efforts at goal, but I think when we did get into these angles or crossed into the box, there was a lot where you thought you're off the edge of your seat thinking we could score here. But it's not fell to somebody to make that finish.
Not many have hung around for the lap of honour, but the England players have done it. They've come back down to where we are. The tunnel is just in front of us to the left here at Villa Park. Harry Kane first down the tunnel. Rare England performance from him without a goal. And the players and those who came on and those who didn't come on, Ruben Loftus-Cheek just making his way down there. Declan Rice, the goal scorer as well. And there's Elliot Anderson, and we have to say that is a massively big positive from this. It's my biggest positive takeaway from this, Stuart Pearce, that Elliot Anderson played so well, looks so comfortable in England's shirt, and we've seen so many players wear that Three Lions shirt and wear it really heavy. He looked good.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that you've just said, and I'm going to bolt on to what you've just said as well. This is a kid that's just come away with an under-21 winners medal, and we spoke about this, and we went all the way back to a SETI in Rio, me and yourself talking about the importance of players winning something at the younger age groups and stepping up. You're seeing a young player here stepping up and looking as though he's not shaken by the occasion in any way, shape or form, and I'm absolutely delighted for him.
11 years ago, that conversation on that sofa in Rio, and finally it's bearing fruit, and maybe, who knows. And here's the other thing, that yes, qualifiers are qualifiers, and you get through them, you end up top of the table, you qualify for the World Cup. What really matters is if we win the World Cup, nobody's going to remember a dull 2-0 against Andorra on a Saturday afternoon back in September. What really matters is how they played then. But Thomas Tuchel had said to us, we want to show the fans, it's time to start showing the fans. For me, that really hasn't happened tonight. Jim Proudfoot, what do you think?
No, I go along with that. I mean, I've got a different statistical take on it from you, that I would compare the two England-Andorra performances and say that this one was better. There were fewer crosses inside the penalty area in this game, which is a disappointment, but there was a much higher degree of accuracy at 6 effective crosses from 19 as opposed to 5 from 27. Aimless deliveries out. in Barcelona. England had more final third entries today, 10% higher. They had better balls into the final third today. The passing accuracy was greater, a much higher number of passes inside the final third today. So the possession was in better areas today. So I think that those will be positives. But you're absolutely right. When it comes down to it, England's chances of winning the World Cup don't change whether they've won this game 1-0, 2-0, 4-0 or 8-0. They simply don't change. All that this will do is give us an idea of the direction in which England are moving. I think that we've seen enough to suggest that they are moving in the right direction, or whether they're taking big enough steps, those steps quickly enough, remains to be seen. But I do think that England have moved in the right direction. But Tuesday's going to be a much more significant test and a much better barometer, bellwether of exactly where England are. Because that is a side, Serbia, who will also, as we saw in the Euros 16 months ago, they will try and defend like that, but they're better at it and they're much better on the counter-attack. So that is going to be a better illustration of where England are. Elliot Anderson's debut, I thought, was fantastic. It's good to see that a lot of players have made their England debuts recently and have looked so assured from day one. Lewis Skelly did, Madueke did, and Anderson the latest to do that.
I was having a look at social media, not always good to do that, but there was one little message I saw. It was at the end of the first half, Stuart, and it said, has anybody got Gareth Southgate's number? I think you and I have both said, listen, the Southgate era is done. However, I don't think we'll fully appreciate what he did until a few tournaments' time, when we look back and say, wow, he got that semi-final, that quarter-final, 2 finals. And actually, people who criticised him for not winning the Euros will realise, actually, he did exceptionally well in successive tournaments for England. I think it's tough managing England, really tough. And there'll be a reaction coming up on the show with Rory Jennings. That's from 7:30. So get your calls in 03717 22 3344. But there will be a negative reaction to it. In many ways, you can't win as England manager unless you win a tournament. If you don't win a tournament, you're going to be considered a failure.
Yeah, and you only make that statement on the back of probably Gareth setting the bar where he has at this moment in time. We've employed a manager to take us to the next level. He'll be judged on what happens next summer at the major tournament. If you're going to win a major tournament, you're not going to be playing against a team that plays a low block and sits off behind the ball, potentially. They're going to probably be the favourites to beat you on the day, I would fully suspect. And then from that moment on, we'll see where it takes us, and then you can judge Gareth or Thomas Tuchel accordingly.
But it is England's ability to be able to beat sides who will sit with a low block, those ranked maybe 30, 40, 50 in the world, that England will come up against in the group stages. If you look back to the last tournament, okay, England got out of that group, but they had some hairy moments along the way. They beat Serbia 1-0 and weren't great. They played that desperately dull game against Denmark. Then there was the Jude rescuing us in with the last kick with that spectacular goal against Slovakia. So those are the sides, really, that England have got to be able to find a way to beat effectively, and then take your chances in the shootout, get yourselves up to, playing against the other sides in the top 10, and hope that you've got a different plan for that type of match.
Everybody can have their say with Rory, and no doubt he will have his say as well. In the meantime, we're going to be getting reaction from here at Villa Park. We will hear from Thomas Tuchel very shortly, and a couple of the players as well, so stand by for that. But Rory Jennings taking your calls from 7:30 on TalkSport, and that number again, 03717 223344. Your reaction to England getting the win, topping the table, but they beat Andorra by 2-0, and maybe, just maybe, you're all expecting a little bit more than that. Well, Villa Park has emptied out now. In fact, it emptied out pretty much on around about 80, 85 minutes. A load of fans left early. 2-0 it finished to England. You can have your say with Rory Jennings coming up at 7:30. 03717 223344. My marks out of 10 for the England players have been submitted, and they will be on the website, talksport.com. We will be putting together a podcast as well, reflecting on this England victory that leaves them top of the qualifying group. Now, in terms of rugby, England have been in action in Brighton this evening at the Women's Rugby World Cup, up against Australia. Alfie Reynolds, watching for TalkSport.
It finished England 47, Australia 7. England top Pool A, and they will face Scotland next Sunday in the quarter-final of the World Cup. This was their toughest test of the tournament so far, yet such is their dominance, they still won by 40. The tries were scored by Jess Breach, Abby Ward, Amy Cockayne, Lark Atkin Davies, Kelsey Clifford, Sarah Byrne, and then 2 for Sadia Kabea. The Wallaroos, they scored a try through Adiana Talakai, and they will go through as runners-up in Pool A, and they will meet Canada in the last 8. It has finished in Brighton, England 47, Australia 7.
And a game ongoing in the National League, and Brackley have equalised at Aldershot 1-1, and the shots are down to 10 men. Ben Jackson sent off in League 2. It's still Bromley 2, Gillingham 1. Live at Villa Park on TalkSport. After England beat Andorra 2-0, we will be hearing from the England camp very, very shortly. Stay with us for that, and you can have your say at 7:30 with Rory Jennings, 03717 22 3344. I'm alongside the former England captain, Stuart Pearce. Nonny Madueke, I thought, was excellent today. His numbers stack up. Jim gave us those in the second half. He's creating goals. He's trying to, at the very least, he's trying to be dynamic in an England shirt.
Well, that's his game. He's dynamic. He is a dynamic footballer. He's a fullback's worst nightmare as long as he keeps running at people and taking them on when it's appropriate to do so. And I think he done that really well today. Yeah, I agree with you. The move to Arsenal, there's a suggestion, we'll see how the season goes, but he may not play as often. He may not play on the side he wants to, his right side today. Obviously, when Bukayo Saka's fit, then he's going to be your first choice. I think he'd have to be first choice club and country on the right-hand side. Does that move then present a problem potentially for Nonny Madueke? Well, I always think the pressure is always on the players. You've got to force the issue and force your way into a team, whether Saka's in front of you or he's vying for your position. So the manager turns round and says, you know what, I've got to find a place for Madueke and Saka in the team. Madueke, let's hear from him. He's with Faker Others.
Nonny, congratulations. Another qualifying win and another assist from you. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I'm really happy. It's an honour to play for my country, and for the manager to give me faith to, well, all the managers that I've had so far to give me faith, to give me starts and to play me in the team. So it's the least I could do to try and provide assists and creativity and just play my natural game, which I think I did today.
Yeah, the TalkSport team have just been waxing lyrical about you just now, and talking specifically about your dynamism. Did you feel that on the pitch?
Yeah, I feel like that's my strength, to be able to create out of nothing. Not everything came off today, but I feel like when you play against a stubborn team, you have to have that mindset of I'm just going to get the ball and go and go and go, and it's better than just passing it and not advancing. So I feel like that was my mindset today, and the team, to be fair, as a collective, I think we were much better than we were in the last game, and we've got a positive feeling going over to Belgrade, yeah.
Yes, we're definitely going to Belgrade. I will see you there. Interesting that you say that, actually, because there were a couple of times I saw your body language. You were getting really frustrated. It's so hard to break down that low block. Thomas Tuchel's talked a lot about it. The team in commentary were talking about the way to do it is just putting the crosses into the box, which you've been doing.
Yeah, definitely putting the balls into the box, but also they've got 5 players in there a lot of the time, so I feel like you need to probe a little bit to try and open up gaps a little bit to get a bit of momentum and then put the balls in. But yeah, definitely crosses and incisive passing, and also just trying to really just get the ball and be fearless to try and outplay the man in front of you, and then it opens up, you can create overloads from there. So I feel like, like I said again, we did that at times, and definitely the second goal was a real piece of quality from Reece and a great finish from Deck, and we go away with a clean sheet, another clean sheet and a win. So
excellent. This is the first time I've spoken to you since your move to Arsenal. Yeah. Big smile on your face when I said that. Firstly, how are you settling in? Secondly, obviously Bukayo Saka's not part of this camp because he's injured. You're going to be competing with him essentially for that right-hand wing spot for club and for country. How do you feel about that? Yeah,
listen, competition at the highest level, playing for England and playing for Arsenal is something that you just have to be ready for. Obviously, I think it's known that I'm pretty comfortable on both sides. So it's whichever the manager at club and the manager at country, however they want to set up, and then I'm sure I can do the job either side, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, you were the only player, you and Harry Kane, who got plaudits from Thomas Tuchel in the last game against Andorra. You've got them again today, so it looks like you're making progress with the manager. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely, that's what it's about. And I'm really happy in this group. It's a great group, and I feel like I can express myself. So yeah, really, really, really happy.
I'll see you in Belgrade. Don't get on a flight anywhere else.
Well, I'll try not to get lost.
See you later. Thank you, Nonny.
Great stuff from Nonny Madueke with TalkSport's England correspondent Faye Carruthers. We'll be hearing from Thomas Tuchel soon. It's interesting, he says he's comfortable both sides, Stuart Pearce, and actually the game in Barcelona against Andorra, he was on the left-hand side, and again he was one of the better players that day.
Yeah, he created, and I think he's one of these players, it looks to me as though you've just got to keep encouraging him, keep putting an arm around him and keep telling him how well he's doing, and encourage him to keep running at players, because he's got all the attributes: close control, quick, dribbles well, fast. He's got a little bit of everything that you need, and Harry Kane especially needs, and this England team needs players of that ilk in these wide areas that we mentioned pre-game.
If there are fans preparing to call Rory Jennings at 7:30 who are thinking, right, I'm going to have a right go, he kind of summed up the positives, didn't he, really, by saying another clean sheet and a win. And in many ways, it's the mantra through qualifying, and also the mantra through getting through the early group stage at a tournament. Just get through that group, win that group, just get through the group. And sometimes it might end up being a bit of a ball fest, but if you get the result that you need, that really is ultimately all that matters.
Yeah, and you've had a look at the team as well, and, you know, there were some good performances within the group today, and I was pleased to see Declan Rice being more advanced. He's got his goal as well, Aid, you know, which is really good for him. Arrived in the box in good positions, but also dropped in and dealt with any problems behind him on occasion when he had to.
And another thing I love that Nonny Madueke just said live on TalkSport, be fearless, an honour to play for my country. And I don't think he's just throwing that out there. We've said it many times. Just a quick one on this, just to reiterate, because they don't hammer them 6-0 and they're not all over them, it doesn't mean they're not passionate playing for their country. I think all these players, and you heard it there firsthand from one of the young England players, it's an honour to play for his country, and fans have really got to get to grips with that. It's the truth for the vast majority of the England players, that they do see it as a true honour. They really want to play for England. This talk of club versus country is irrelevant to them. They want to play for both.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd done a hit for TalkSport beforehand, and they talked about this game being an inconvenience because the Premier League's just started. I went, this is the key game in the calendar for me as an ex-player and an ex-international. That's how I viewed it. This was probably the most important game. Not that I belittled playing for my club in any way, shape or form, but this is international football.
And listen, it didn't set the world alight. England weren't as fluid or aggressive as Thomas Tuchel said they would be. But what matters is what happens when we get to the tournament. You can have your say with Rory Jennings coming up in around about 15 minutes, and we will hear from Thomas Tuchel very shortly on TalkSport. That number to phone is 03717 223344 after England beat Andorra here at Villa Park 2-0.
Way back to Gahey, forward towards James. Kane making an early run. It's Rice coming round the back, and he's headed it in for two.
First goal, an own goal. Second goal, that one from Declan Rice. You heard it on TalkSport. England 2, Andorra 0 leaves a World Cup qualifying Group K like this. England top, having played 4. They've got 4 wins. They've yet to concede a goal. It's 12 points from a possible 12. Second place, Serbia, who won earlier away to Latvia. Dusan Vlahovic with the only goal of the game. They're on 7 points from 3 games. Albania are third, 5 from 4. Latvia fourth, 4 from 4. Andorra have played 5 and lost 5. They've yet to score a goal. England away to Serbia in Belgrade, as Nonny Madueke was telling us, on Tuesday night, and the TalkSport team will be there. And yeah, they may well have that low block. Thomas Tuchel was saying that. Jim Proudfoot saying it in commentary as well, Stuart Pearce. And it's another test for England. Listen, the reality is, even if they lose the game, they remain top of the group. However, winning the game virtually secures passage to the World Cup, and the earlier they get that done, the better, I think.
Without a doubt, yeah. I think they'll be going to Serbia. First point of call, don't get beaten. If you can come away with all 3 points, I think that's us qualified already. I know it's a bold statement, but I think we'll be too strong at home against anybody else, and that will secure us the points we need. So, and then you can start pre-planning. The FA, make no mistake, are so good behind the scenes. Their pre-planning process would have started probably 2 years ago for this tournament. But it's nice to know that you're there sooner rather than later.
How do you feel about Thomas Tuchel now? Is it still too early to judge, do you think?
I don't think there'll be a lot of hot air talked about Thomas between now and next summer. It's only next summer that counts, Aid. Honestly, it really is. And no matter what we think, yes, he's put a team out there to win the World Cup. No, he hasn't. I think we can. I think we can't. We'll mull that over game by game and month by month as time goes on. But until we actually get to the tournament, we won't know.
Let's hear from the England manager. He's with Faye Carruthers right now.
Thomas, congratulations. Another World Cup qualifying win. Were you happy with the performance this time round?
Yeah, I liked the effort and I liked the attitude. I liked also the quality of most of the time. 15 minutes after the goal, we had some ball losses that were totally unnecessary and cost us a little bit the rhythm, but we picked it up again in second half. Created a lot. I think we didn't score enough. You could just see how a second goal then gives us the freedom and the confidence and the joy, makes things so much easier and gives the opponent, of course, the signal that the game is over for them. So it has a huge impact. We had to wait a little bit long for the second goal, but overall much more positive things than negative.
I was watching you on the touchline, sitting down on your water cooler, getting back up, animated as always. Please don't try and break the stuff on the wall at Villa Park. What I did notice is you clapping Elliot Anderson on repeat. How impressed were you with...
getting the 3 points, and they have definitely got to have won, and they are through, maybe, could be, through to the World Cup. Hello everyone and welcome again, and thanks for joining this awesome live stream. We have been live streaming for 2 hours, and what a 2 hours it's been. Through the first whistle to the last whistle, from every goal to every bad moment, that England have won the game. And now this could be the massive 3 points, and could be, maybe, never know, could be, we could go in to the World Cup yet again to try to get to the final. Maybe we won't, maybe we will. Let's find out in 2026.